You are listening to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where illumination and inspiration is but a click away. With so many genre topics for you on everything that you need to know in life. We celebrate and share the people who have taken the journey before you and who are now here to serve you with their wisdom and their knowledge. The next show coming up is...
Good day, everybody, and welcome to Recovering the Whole of You. I am Dr. Kiti, Adderley, recovery expert, physical therapist, and owner of Handling Your Health, Wellness, and Rehab in Nassau and Bahamas. We are in the Bahamas, but we are Bahamas and beyond. We are so honored today to have one of our international guests visiting with us all the way from Belgium, Miss Hyacinth Jones, and she is here to share with us the importance of emotional well-being in education. We throw around the phrase emotional intelligence a lot. We don't understand it in its truest sense, many of us, and we want to make sure that we have we put out a good understanding of how important emotional intelligence is in the whole process of relationships, of you developing, of you gaining what you need to get, becoming a whole well person. And so I'm so honored to have Hyacinth with us today. Miss Hyacinth, please introduce yourself, tell us all about you, and let's just dive right in.
Hi, Kitty. Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here, and especially looking at the time difference here, it's approaching midday, and I know it's really early in the morning there, so I'm really grateful that I get to spend this time with you.
Thank you.
And yeah, dive in. Where can I start? I'm starting a parenting revolution, and I'm noticing that we grown-ups are basically projecting a lot of our fears into the future. And if we as parents, and certainly adults learn who don't necessarily have children but can parent ourselves, then we're putting a better energy out so far as is concerned, which is going to help the younger generation navigate better. So I have this really crazy vision to start first I wanted to make an academy, but the latest thing that came up for me was to start a wellness. And so about 6 years ago, I stopped my career in the corporate world. I was a secretary, and I went into training to become a teacher because I do volunteer work with young people. I have been doing for almost 15 years. And I thought that was going to be, the good qualification to be able to go on and do great things. But I was so disappointed as a parent and as a student and teacher. So I had 3 hats in this one academic experience. And there was no interaction or recognition or validation of who I actually was. It's really just, you get these qualifications, you regurgitate this information, and you'll get your qualification, and then you can do whatever you want. And it just struck me as so wrong, and something really deep in me. I had a burnout basically, because it didn't resonate with what was going on in me. But I did have a few epiphanies, and the main one is that our education system is based on knowledge, okay? And the knowledge that we have to learn in order to become recognized and validate to excel in our career is coming out of somebody else's head. So the thing that resonates with us is a knowledge that actually already exists within us. So I realized that most of us have gone through the education system, not realizing that we have this spark of innate knowledge, which another person has gone and done their professorship on the same kind of knowledge, but it sparks something in us. So it's not until we get to university that we're kind of developing and specializing in what it is that we can add to the philosophy that we're learning, or the knowledge. And what that means is that we've got a lot of grown-up people walking around who are really stuck, or who are really disengaged or not fulfilled. And I think that is a burden, not only on ourselves, but on the upcoming generation, because we're basically passing on these fears to.
So before you go on, you said that a lot of us, not until we get to university, but there are quite a few people that never get to the tertiary level of education. How are they dealing with this lack of opportunity to recognize who they are and express themselves? Because I think this is where the understanding of what emotional intelligence is, and we say it, and some people never get a chance to have that conversation in its truest sense of identifying what it is. How do you deal with someone who hasn't had exposure on that level, that are struggling and showing signs of lack of emotional intelligence?
Okay, so the lack of emotional intelligence is basically then ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
When we're basically operating, waiting for it to recalibrate.
Okay, Hyacinth.
We're operating from a place of fear,
Good.
of mistrust. And yes.
No, go ahead. We had a little connection. Mm-hmm.
And basically a suppression of anger and fear. We're often told, even if we hurt ourselves as a child, or we encounter something that stirs us to cry, we're often told that, it's inappropriate to cry, it's inappropriate to be angry or to express that anger. So we have a lot of suppressed feelings. So this is the onstart of emotional ignorance, and it's coming from people who are also emotionally not in touch, and it has been there to serve. We're coming from a past where we've had to rebuild a lot of our societies because of the wars and our colonial past. So emotions had to be put aside, and we had to just trudge along. The problem that I have now is that we're only preparing for a future where we know how to deal with, we know how to expect disappointment. And the emotional intelligence side is basically helping us to manage our anger, our fear, our sadness, and all these emotions, and be able to relate to others and relate to situations better, so that we can actually prepare for a successful future.
Okay.
So I understand our time is short, and it's really a very vast area that I want to cover. But I think what I'm evoking in grown-ups is this leadership spark and this entrepreneurial spark, which is missed in our education system. If you're entrepreneurial, if you're a risk taker, and you enjoy learning through making mistakes and in motion, your emotional intelligence, your emotional quotient is slightly higher, if you like, and your IQ tends to be slightly less. And in our academic setup, it's not recognized, it's not validated, which is why now we're in this era of these feminine qualities of listening and intuition. We're trying to validate them and to bring them back into our sciences, our technology, our environments. So I'm getting myself a bit going out and finding my thread. I mean, I want to be honest with you as well. I have to say, growing up, I was very entrepreneurial, very inquisitive, and that was not at all stimulated. So now I'm in my 40s with my own children, and I'm having to educate myself, find myself a teacher who I can connect with emotionally, who I can ask questions to. And when I do work with my students now, who I'm teaching leadership development, leadership skills to,
Mm-hmm.
that's the kind of. Do you have a question for me?
We're having a little challenge with connection. So, can you hear me clearly? Can you hear me, Hyacinth?
I can hear you. Our connection is so.
That's okay. We're going to ride the wave of connectivity. So that brings us to just tell us. So you've made it your mission, right? And you have this, like you said, this vision. You call it crazy, but I think it's fantastic. And could you talk more about what this vision is going to be once you start to materialize it?
So a community where parents, young people, students if you like, and educators are learning from the same fundamental core piece of knowledge, of information, basically, and that is about ourselves and how to be more conscious of the way we express ourselves, and the fact that we are each an expression of a particular type of energy, and is to kind of judge one another according to what's normal for us, and then try to parent or educate in a way that fits with our perspective and our mold. And there's not enough time to really listen and get to know each other. So in this educational village, it's like you can do fitness and health and education, but you're learning from the core of what it is to be a human being. You know, how your thoughts are food for your soul, how we have this energy around our hearts, how it's very important to be able to release emotions that bring us tension in a healthy way. Otherwise they just get suppressed and they staple up, I want to say. That's a Dutch word. They build up. Yes, an example of that is my son. I also work with the 4 elements: earth, air, water, and fire, different types of personality types. You've got a lot of personality assessments that roughly fit into the same 4 categories. You've got the sunny type of person, the more earthy, serious kind of person, the fiery, challenge-driven person, and then you've got the emotional and sensitive type of person. So we're a mix of all of them, to be very honest with you. And you can see it in your features. You can see it if you have a very symmetrical face, you're probably quite earth. If you have symmetrical teeth and shoulders, you're quite, your perspective is always black and white. It's very difficult to bring knowledge or awareness to this type of person, because they believe in their own perspective first, and it's very difficult for them to take on board another perspective or point of view. So my son is this type of person, although he's very sensitive. And when he was about 5 or so, he was putting his hand up in school and not getting asked the question. I mean, the poor teacher's got 20 odd children to ask, but he came home and he would be really aggressive, he would be really angry and what have you. And then we call it the broken cookie incident. Something happens, it wasn't good enough, and then he just flips out, tantrum. And because of the training I've in child development, aware parenting, I was able to understand, okay, there's some trauma he's experienced, he's bottled it up, and this is just his outlet, so I don't need to judge him and start, training him to you answer, you listen to the grown-up here who doesn't deserve all this shouting at. But I allowed him to express it. And I said, I can see there's something that's upsetting you, that's really troubling you. What happened today? And he cried a lot, and he slowly came round to be able to filter through what was troubling him. And it was that he was putting his hand up and not getting asked the question, not being allowed to answer, not being able to share his point of view. And that really upset him. So this is the kind of built up kind of emotions that we need to be validated or recognized and respected. We have all these different values and motivations to do things, and we're not able to appreciate another person because we have our little script story bias going on, and we're relating to each other from that conditioned place. So in this village, in this environment where I was learning to become a teacher, and I was already a parent, I noticed that the information that they were teaching me about child development and psychology, philosophy, was important to me, not just as a trainee teacher, but as a student, to understand how my mind develops, and also as a parent. And I feel in my village environment, it's really a place to the fundamentals, basically, of how we deal with our stress and how it hinders us from becoming a real leader in our own life, and preparing a really awesome future.
Yep. So you're going to really bring a holistic approach to this, because you mentioned fitness and nutrition, but what I really love is that you're going to spend so much time concentrating on the development of this emotional intelligence. As I heard you speak about dealing with your son, I mean, I'm a parent as well. How many parents are there listening, understand just how challenging it could be at times when our children come home stressed and unhappy, and are we really meeting them where they're at? Are we fulfilling their needs, like you said, to be able to express and talk out what's happening? And I go back to what you said earlier. We are usually not given that opportunity to express yourself. Suck it up, all right, you had a bad day, tomorrow's another day. And we are taught, whether we want to say subconsciously or unconsciously, to suppress those feelings. It's just move on, and now as you talk, I can hear just how this can manifest and kill our emotional intelligence, because we're not giving ourselves the ability to feel, express, and deal with it, and integrate it into our experience to know how to deal with something better or more, what do I want to say, holistically the next time, right? So you have this child just sitting there seething and won't like this teacher very much anymore because the child just was not given that opportunity to deal with that. So in your business, when parents come to you, are you seeing parents one-on-one dealing with children that manifest emotional disturbances or emotional ignorance?
Yes, definitely. I think one of the things I should highlight here as well is that we have a blind spot.
Okay.
Actually, and that is to not nurture or parent or educate or teach the person, the energy that we have in front of us as an individual, but as an extension of ourselves. In the sense that, hey, I never got to go swimming every Wednesday with my parents, and I'm taking you, so why are you so ungrateful? I never got to eat all this great food when I was young, so why are you so ungrateful? What we have to recognize is the past that we're coming from is mostly a place of scarcity, and we are not in that environment now. The fears that we are instinctively reacting to are not present now, and that's why we're gaining a lot of pushback from the younger generation, because that's just not their reality. The technology, the fast information, connection is their reality, and we are the ones who don't know how to deal with it. And because we don't know, we are therefore putting it into the category of bad. You know? Because we're so much associated with what we know is good. If we know about it, if we understand it, then it's good. And if we don't understand, you know, then it's terrible. We should have nothing to do with it. And we're very patronizing with our children on that level also. The things that they say and know, we're like, that's so immature. I've been around for 40, 50 years, you know. I know so much more, or 20 years, you know, whatever the case. And we use all the opportunities of everything that they say, you know, that's blue. Actually, it's kind of green, you know, or if you look here, allow them to just, you know, they're coming from a place where their PhD is in spontaneity and innocence. And innocence, I always term that as inner sense, because they, whatever, if it feels right, then they're going along. And we're numbing them a lot of the time to their own sense of leadership that is inside of them. When they're crossing the road, we're screaming, you know, don't. And it's like, why are we interrupting their presencing and being able to listen to what it is actually going on? You know, we're too much tapped into seeing what could go wrong and pointing that out. Because, yeah, then we're preparing for, you know, how to deal with disappointment. But we have to realize that the potential we have is to go into a really peaceful and an abundant future. And the young people are getting born because, I mean, it just keeps happening, right?
Right.
Just people giving birth. And so we have to reintroduce ourselves to a sense of faith and hope that they are capable of doing what needs to be done, the necessary. So we can say it's a miracle what it is that they need to overcome, because the state we've left the planet in. And what I suggest, what I invite us all to say is that the miracle that we're looking for starts with ourselves. And it will just become a shift in perspective. Once we understand how to deal with our emotions, how to understand how we can lead a really resilient, brilliant, and authentic life, especially in our areas of health, in our relationships, in our career, in our finances. Once we are experiencing that, once that becomes our normal experience as grown-ups, then we're creating a whole new type of energy for the younger generation to work with. They'll be standing on the shoulders of giants, basically.
That is a very powerful statement. So, you know, we're not 25 anymore. We're definitely not millennials. You and I, our generation. For people that are in our generation and older that are struggling with this mindset or a shift in mindset, could you give us some tips of how we can become more emotionally intelligent, how we can let go of that scarcity mindset, let go of operating in fear and anxiety? What give us about 3 to 5 tips that we can implement today on making ourselves better at this?
Okay, so the first thing is to understand that it's a process, that emotions, feelings are transient. So allow yourself to feel in order to heal, to go beyond it. And I have a lot of parents, mainly the older ones in the 60s, who say that, you know, I just don't want to go there with those emotions. I'll be depressed for a whole year. Okay, that comes from a lot of suppression. We don't accept ourselves where we are, and we're identifying with the emotion as who we are. Whereas rather than saying I am depressed, I am feeling depressed. You're allowed to let it go and become whatever else it needs to become. It's bringing your awareness to something that exists within you that is neglected. So how can I put like a few tips? I would say to recognize that we have this process going on, and to really become connected to your own intentions.
Okay.
This is kind of just loosely go through life. Just if something good happens, it's great. If something bad happens, it's great. But just really have this word intention in your imagination every day. And in my, because I'm creating a course, it's called Volume U, and it's teaching really just the steps of inner leadership, how to prepare for an awesome future. And so connected to this intention is really this conscious expression. Be conscious of the words that you use for a start. We're so tainted with being aware of disaster and talking about it. And you'll just notice a shift in your own energy, your own perspective, if you are going to be looking at the same thing. The child crossing over the road might get run over. Hey, it might not. There are 50-50, you know? So what are you consciously putting energy into? You are about to cross the road. You can use your senses of hearing to listen for a car, that you're going to look really well before you cross over to the other side. The child does it, well done, you did it, because that's going to consciously register in your mind that good things are happening. Because too often the good things happen and we're like, well, that's what I expected. But if something bad happens, you see. And we're just putting this energy into it, and that's the function of the brain. The things that we believe and that we're giving energy to is to bring it into it. So if we really believe and are being conscious about how well the child is crossing the road, you know, how well the child is preparing for the exams, even though we know they have a chaotic way, you know, they're doing the best that they can. And really look at the strengths that we have. It's reframing basically all the things into a positive way, so that we go from understanding to knowing to loving.
Good stuff.
And that's with your conscious expression. Sometimes, you know, understanding is not possible. You're just not going to be able to understand. And once you know that, you can just let go. The fact that I don't know everything. I'm not going to understand everything. And that's okay. Because whatever your faith is, whatever, you know, I believe in divine love, and it's got life, basically has got your back.
So
you don't need to worry about.
Repeat that for me again. You said, I believe in divine love, and
it's that life source. So life is the one that has your back, you know, no matter how short or long it is, but life is an energy flow, and it has got your back. And that conscious expression, I mean, we can relate it also to mindfulness. I do meditation, not mindful meditation. I do a meditation called Sahaj meditation. And that really relates to but like aligning your physical, emotional, and your mental, you know.
okay.
And there's a great thing called emotional freedom tapping. We spoke about that together last time.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
It's also a really great thing to become conscious.
Yeah. So those tips are great. I'm just going to repeat them. So you said, understand that the feelings are transient. Don't get caught up. I shouldn't say don't get caught up in the feelings, because you want to feel them, but that's not a state of being. That's just something that's going to move across. So give yourself some time to go through it. Allow yourself to feel and heal. I really like that one, because we just shake it off and we keep going, and we don't really shake it off. We shake it in and keep going. Accept where you are. right? Connect with your own intentions. I like that one, because so many times I think we're serving other people and other intentions that we're not acknowledging ourselves. And be conscious of your expressions. I really like that. Whatever you think comes into being. Wherever you put your thoughts, wherever you switch your energy, that's what's going to manifest. So if we're dealing with something very difficult, it is difficult. Let's accept the fact that it's difficult, but we want another result, or we want to move from this space. So we can't say it's difficult, it's difficult, it's difficult. We have to say it's difficult and I need to get here. So see ourselves moving away from that point of difficulty to that new space. Did I take it in okay? Did I do a good job?
Absolutely, that's perfect. And this point about difficult, this is something that comes up so much. And I have an English student as well, and she's always, this is difficult, this is difficult. I said, okay. So with this difficult, what we're going to do is just scrumple it up and throw it away. And we're going to introduce, basically, I'm experiencing this as with a lot, it's taking a lot of effort and energy from me. So I'm feeling as though I'm incapable of going through. I am doing this because they're both the truth. I am doing it. It's difficult, but the point is you're doing it. So it's like if you keep going, it's difficult. That's just going to channel up more difficulty. Is going to, and the thing you have to understand about your reality and your belief system is basically just thoughts that you keep having. It's grown up to create a new belief system because we're just so thinking, just thinking and just like, well, I can't change that. Well, I'm sorry. Who else are you expecting to do that?
This is awesome. This is awesome. Okay, so we're wrapping up now. So tell our listening audience, about your business, how they can find you.
So, internet is unstable. Is it coming back?
It's unstable, but it's here. Let's go.
So, that's right. So I was just waiting for a moment so I could get some clarity. Connection. We are all in this world to make meaningful connections, and I'm so honored to get to share my voice and my message with you. If you want to know more, you can find me on my website, www.hyacinthjones, HYACINTHES.com. It's a standard page. You're going to have to bear with me. I've got a busy household and a busy life, and I'm doing everything on my own. This is another struggle that is real for a woman, especially, is to be able to receive help and to identify where I need it, and to delegate and let go of a few things. So my page, you'll see there, a standalone page. If you want to contact me, I'm very reactive on LinkedIn. Send me a request there. And on Facebook also, I have a page, Hyacinth Jones Leadership. And I have Instagram also, Hyacinth Jones, and Twitter. You can find me as Taimana Leader, TAIMANA. And Taimana means diamond leadership. But I'm using the word, it's a Maori pronunciation for the word Taimana. And that's to reflect that we're all diamonds essentially. And every interaction is about light refracting on the diamond and projecting different colors basically on the other side. So if we can be conscious and aware of every single interaction that we have, we are getting to see another dimension to ourselves, another element of ourselves, and to own that and to find out what we can make out of it going forward. So that's where you can find me. I also have an email address, contact@hyacinthjones.com, if you want to send me some emails. And I'm creating an online course. I'm creating a book from it as well, Inner Leadership Volume U. So that's turning up the volume on the positive and turning it down on the negative, basically. How to do that so that you can really prepare for an awesome future.
Awesome. 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 We will put all of that information in the links and comments below. So if you missed it when she was saying it, don't worry, I have that covered, but I just wanted her to say it for us. The other thing though, Hyacinth, before you go, you're getting involved in I think it's a fantastic project. It's UN driven, and I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about that. As we talk about emotional intelligence and we talk about healing, tell us about this project that you're involved with.
So the United Nations have launched this initiative called the Decade for the People of African Descent, and it started in 2015. But this year, the United Nations sent a delegation to Belgium, where I live. My husband is Belgian. I'm from England originally, grew up in, around London. And they invited me to join a panel of experts to give advice to the government on what we could do with this decade here in Belgium for the people of African descent, the diaspora. There's just such a history of ignorance, I can only put it. So that also connects with this emotional intelligence. You know, our past really just, from all this warmongering and scarcity, had to just, you know, put our differences aside and to a common goal, which is like economic prosperity, you know, at all costs. And so here we are in this very segregated and apparently free world where everybody's just in their own little pocket. And the biggest kind of invisible pocket is the brown skinned descended people. So they're wanting to recognize, give justice to, and help to develop people of African descent. So definitely applies to Canada. It would apply to the Bahamas as well. And it needs us to be behind it, to have these conversations with our governments, with our communities, and our authorities to ensure that they get involved, and we start to look in ourselves. What is it that we need? What opportunities have passed us by? So yeah, I spoke to them about sustainable leadership, which is again developing competencies in social emotional intelligence, but also we've got financial literacy, which many of us are also behind in. I speak for myself definitely in that area. I've come a long way and still a long way to go. But if we look at our colonial past, there's a reason for that, basically. There's a connection also. So I'm involved in this project. The hope is that there will be scope for the government to work with consultants and agencies such as myself, and we will be able to engage in also to educate and train government agencies in how to recognize and be more diverse and inclusive, because again we're operating from this place of bias and conditions. And what I'm noticing here in Belgium is that we have this confusion about racism and prejudice. And racism, very clearly put by Robin DiAngelo, a social scientist in America, is not just an event of calling somebody this, that, or the other, and, you know, an exchange of words, cuss words. It's actually an institution. It's a system. Racism is a system. And a lot of our education system and our, especially European institutions are in denial, you know. So there needs to be a little bit of digging and accept, and really being able to deal with the guilt and the shame that kind of evokes. And if you look at it, you know, as a people, we're all in this together. We some of us have been denied of our humanity, and some of us have been denied of our ability to engage and have morals with another human being. And we're seeing the repercussions and the remnants of that now. So our motto in the team that have come together now, especially in Belgium, is really, it is going to be a difficult place to be, to face a lot of this discrimination that is happening, but we can do it. We owe it to ourselves, and we are then capable of creating a new set of circumstances,
Great. I think that's so admirable, because you're working on a personal level, helping people solve that emotional intelligence issue that they have. You're helping parents work with their children. You're in the schools helping teachers work with the children. And now you're going, this is international. So thank you for what you do. It's been awesome spending time with you. I know we were going to chat some more. We'll definitely bring you back more, because as this project develops and as you develop, and develop your products, I really, really hope that you and I can have more of these sessions, because I see it helping me as well as I work with my patients, as I help them recover, because we're working physically, but I always believe in a holistic approach. And if I can become more attuned to recognizing their emotional issues and helping them come through those, heal those, recover those emotional issues, know we will expedite the recovery process. I know we'll get healthier, more whole people. So thank you for sharing your tidbits. We look forward to seeing you in your online course. We definitely can't wait for that book to drop. And I hope you become a fellow podcast host, because we really need to get your message wide and vast. So I'm going to be behind you, pushing you, encouraging you, because you just have so much to give and so much to share, Hyacinth. So as we wrap up, any last words you'd like to share with our audience?
Recover the whole of you. This is the most beautiful and profound, poignant message of our time, that too often we're only engaged in certain aspects of ourselves, the IQ or what have you, and there is just so much information out there these days. Find what resonates with you and bring your own perspective on the whole thing. You don't need to recreate the wheel, but you do have to, find a way to put all the bits and bobs that already exist out there in your perspective, your unique point of view. And that's all I'm doing. And I really encourage all of you to do that. That is, for me, recovering the whole of you and sharing your greatness with the rest of us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So please reach out to Hyacinth if something that she said resonated with you. I'm sure something she did say, but don't hesitate. She's here to serve. And if there is anything that I can help you with, please don't hesitate to reach out to me as well. It has been our pleasure sharing with you, and I can't wait for our next sit down and discussion. Have a fantastic day, everybody, and concentrate on recovering the whole of you. Dr. Kiti Adderley signing off.
We hope that you enjoyed the show and were inspired. Come and visit us at selfdiscoverymedia.com and see what other shows we have for you. And please do visit our selfdiscoverycommunity.org and see how you can be a part of giving back. Thank you very much.